We're here at the Beyond Cinema at the AFCI pavilion with Peter Busuttil from Malta.
From Malta.
So you're the film commissioner for Malta?
Yeah.
So what was the job you had before this one? What led to this?
Basically, I was on the board of directors of the Film Commission, which is its main remit is to attract films to Malta and also to develop what we would like to be, hopefully, a thriving indigenous industry. Because one of the funny things about Malta is that, notwithstanding the fact that we do attract a lot of movies there, that we do attract a lot of work because of our locations, because of our incentives, because of our daylight, sunlight hours, the human resource, the works, we're still struggling to build a local indigenous industry of locally homegrown produced films.
Right, there's in fact, one Maltese filmmaker was almost like the first ever narrative feature film from Malta. It was not long ago, right? She's working on it?
Yes, but that's a work in progress, to be
Yeah.
quite honest, in the sense that there are very few locally grown. There are some Maltese who do work abroad. In Australia, for example, because I know you're from there, basically there's this Maltese writer called Sandra Shiraz who's preparing a project, which is a film project. She's already a film producer and a film director in her own right, which will be using Malta. But technically speaking, that's still Australian Maltese. It's not Maltese Maltese.
Right, or you have someone who's studying at AFI or someone else and coming back to make films.
But there's still, again, Elliot,
Yeah.
it's at a very early stage. We'd like to fast track that. We'd like to, in fact, we're preparing a number of training programs. We have a film fund. The money we don't utilize in the film fund, if it's not given to projects because they haven't reached the right kind of standard. We channel those into training programs for script writers, for production, for producers, for even hands-on training programs in the film industry, like location management, location scouts, production managers, unit production managers, production coordinators, and so on. You name it, we try and
Because
work
there
it.
must be so many people working on projects like World War Z or Tintin or whatever that are from Malta.
Tintin wasn't shot in Malta.
No, but they worked on it.
Yeah.
But they have people working on it that must be inspired by the stories being told and the other elements. You think that would inspire them to also want to be filmmakers and
Yes,
other
in
things?
fact, what happens in Malta as well, you mentioned it's a small country, or I mentioned that, but anyway, the fact that it's so small means that whenever there's a movie happening, whatever type of movie it is, whether it's a big American movie or a big European movie or a small American movie or a small European movie, there's this buzz on the island. People get involved, you would get involved, I would get involved, in the sense your brother, your sister, your mother, your father.
As
There's
extras
the
or as-
extras,
yeah.
they get into the administrative part, they get into the technical part. Some of them, I know of a case, like a DJ, a well-known DJ, not just in Malta, but even on a European level. He worked on World War Z because he just wanted to get the experience, because it was such a big movie and all this. He ended up, he stopped his work as a DJ and spent 8 months. They took him with them from Malta and all along Europe and wherever the film went on to shoot, because they found out that he had the right attitude, he had the right aptitude to do the work which was needed. And Maltese do have this can-do, will-do attitude, even though they might not have, some of them have lots of experience, but generally you find out that those who don't have the experience, they just catch on.
Yeah. But do you find that some of them, just by being near the storytellers, also start thinking about maybe stories that they want to tell?
That is also very true. What happens is we're inspired. Generally speaking, some of the people who work then on the production side, on the more creative side, even if though they might be first ADs or second ADs or third ADs, or they might be a bit more involved with the creatives or the HODs of each film, the above the line stuff people, they tend to do it to get inspired, and they come back saying, okay, now this is how I am going to do my job, maybe with a smaller budget or with no budget at all,
Right.
but at least they say, okay, I can do this. Let's not forget as well that Malta this year, in 2012, will be hosting the 25th edition of the European Film Awards. And that also, we want to use that event to help this sense of, you're right in saying, of bringing up the subject of inspiration, because we believe a lot in that, and we think that by having these type of events, we can inspire young filmmakers in Malta to say, yes, I can do that, I can get there, my movie can be made, and my movie, most important, can be seen.
Right, but some of them will have to wait until all the crews are freed up from having worked on all this?
But you'd be surprised. Everyone asks me this question, but
Yeah.
do you have enough? From somewhere or another, they come out. And generally speaking, even though it's a very dedicated type of work and the film industry requires a certain amount type of worker, and we do have quite a number of workers who adapt their day jobs, or if they're a carpenter doing normal furniture, they'll adapt it to set
sets,
building.
right.
Because they're very good at what
Or
they
even
do.
caterers and
Oh,
restaurants. and
caterers.
whatever. So what were you doing before you were on the board of the Film Commission, though? What was?
Do you really want to know?
Yes,
that?
I want to know where people, like how people become who
Alright.
they are.
Well, I've done my background is in theater and in film, and television mainly. One as an actor and then as a producer. So what happened when I moved back to Malta about 10 years ago is I spent quite a bit of my time in Italy and before that in London, where I studied and had my first work experiences in theater, film and television. I came back and I continued doing television and theater. And then somehow I stumbled into the film industry. To be honest with you, I was never really interested in the film industry because it was all too much complicated for me. It was all too long term. I'm more of a theater, television person. You know, you work on a production, it's done,
Immediate.
it's seen. You don't have to sell it because normally it's sold before you actually do it. But the film industry, Madonna, it's such a big, different kettle of fish. But then I said, okay, I got into it on this board we used to meet, being on the board of directors means you meet once a month and you just monitor stuff and see that things are happening as they should. But then I got interested. I was offered the job about a year and a half ago. I said, yeah, I'll do this. I think this is something I'd want to do. And we've changed me, the board, and the stuff I have at present. We've carried on the work that was being done before, and I think we've managed to be a bit more proactive. Because we need to be proactive, because it's a competitive world. Our European partners aren't sitting back. They know we're getting the business, and they want to get a bite of that as well. And we're doing all our best not to let them have it.
So if you could ask the government for one thing, what would it be?
We need more finance. We need more finance and not just from the government, but I'd like this, because it's very easy to expect the government in any country, Elliot, to expect them to invest money into an industry. But let's not forget, the film industry is an industry from which every single person, especially in a country like Malta, can benefit from. Why? Because, as you mentioned before, caterers, labor, services, accommodation. I want the government and the private to contribute, because they should believe the government does, and it's making quite big strides ever since to do this. But I think even the private sector should understand the importance of the film industry and invest in it also.
Can you tell that they feel proud of the work that's been done there over the last few years with the film industry? Because it does seem that you're attracting more than a lion's share, especially for a country your size. You're definitely, getting quite big productions in.
We are. Sometimes what happens though, and this happens everywhere, is we need to take care of this, and that we should transfer our sense of pride, our sense of recognition, our sense of having got something by not being pleased with that. You said we got our lion's share. I say we haven't got enough. We have to get more.
And so what is it? With what project do you think you've been able to have the greatest impact?
Right now, the biggest impact we've had in these 12 months is, you mean in changing things and being more proactive, basically is we've realized that we have to increase the training aspect. Not because what we have isn't enough, but because we want to get geared up for the future, where we're going to get more than our lion's share.
Fair enough. What film that has shot either partly or fully in Malta is
my all-time favorite?
Your personal favorite? Yeah.
I'm pretty much attached to Munich, Monte Cristo, and Midnight Express, and Pulp. Pulp is a 70s movie which Michael Caine shot entirely in Malta, which you should watch if you haven't watched.
I own it.
You what?
I own it. I know. I have it.
Great, fantastic. That's one of my best movies. I mean, it's a movie which I like to watch Malta in, especially in that particular period.
When these people come into town, like let's say World War Z, obviously Brad Pitt, Mark Forster, when they come into town,
Tom Hanks,
Paul
Paul
Hanks,
Greengrass,
of course.
now.
When they're in town, obviously making a movie, you're usually working 18-hour days, whatever. It's all super busy. But do they get time?
Yes.
Do they take the time
Yes.
to walk around and
Yes.
enjoy?
In fact, Tom Hanks has been tweeting. Let's talk about a more recent person who's been. Tom Hanks has been tweeting about his walks, his walks, his problems with the traffic in the morning. But he fails to notice, and I'll probably be telling him this at some point in time, that the street he uses to get to work, the road which would normally be in use right now, they're doing major road works there. So he's finding a lot of traffic. So I must point out to him that's not indicative of the Maltese traffic. But no, we do get, in fact, there are quite a lot of press being written about, especially Tom Hanks, Brad, where they go and walk and stuff and do this. And we try and get them involved, even in Maltese, in the Maltese way of life and the way we do things and stuff like that, because it's quite particular. You've never been to Malta. I'm probably the first Maltese person you've ever met. And everyone says, well, what's Maltese like? We ngħidilhom il-Maltin stema xi ħaġa hekk, as I just said now. I said Maltese sounds something like this, which is a mixture of a bit of stuff. And they tend to enjoy this as well. The food is good, the weather is great, and it's different. The history, in particular, for example, Tom Hanks' daughter, who's also a writer, she's taken an avid interest in our historical aspects, and so there's a lot to do and see.
Do you guys create special programs for them, like little things to do?
No,
we
offer to do that. We offer it because as a courtesy.
Yeah.
But then obviously it's up to them.
Yes.
We very rarely sometimes we get asked, listen, could we get them to go and see that, or go and watch a football match, or go and watch this concert, or this or that, and we facilitate that. But we leave them pretty much. They know we're there. Their assistants know we're there. We deal a lot with the exec producers rather than with the talent. And we tell them, listen, guys, if you need anything, just let us know and we're there for you.
In terms of creating your incentive packages, what other countries did you look to see how they were doing things and from which to kind of create your sort of package?
I'll answer you that in two ways, and I'll tell you why. One, I'm not, when the incentives were created nearly about 6 to 7 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, 2006, 2008, I was not part of the commission, and so I wouldn't know how those were brought together. What I can definitely tell you is that they form part, however, of the state aid regulations which regulate all EU countries. So more or less, in fact, this year they're going to come into review, and in 2013 there'll be a new set of regulations which are presently being reviewed, and there's a consultation process which is ongoing within the EU. So basically, they are the same regulations all EU countries more or less adopt and use.
Okay, and if you said like people come and try the food and all that sort of stuff, if I came to Malta, what would I have to try before I left?
Mela, rabbit, imqarrun il-forn, which is baked macaroni, imqarrun il-forn, and the fish.
Fair enough.
And pastizzi. Pastizzi is something you'll have to discover. Just remember the name. I'm not going to tell you what it is. It's very. You could live in Malta on a budget of €2 a day with pastizzi, and they're good.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for spending a few minutes. I'll speak to you soon.
You're welcome.
Cheers.